Welcome to another edition of INN CEO Talks. Joining me once again is Stephen Promnitz of Lake Resources. The company trades on the Australian Stock Exchange under the symbol LKE and on the OTC as LLKKF. Now, Lake Resources is a really innovative lithium producer with 3 ongoing projects in Argentina's large lithium brine geographic zone. Not only does Lake Resources have access to a large, high-quality battery-grade resource, the company has also partnered with Lilac Solutions in California to develop direct extraction technology that dramatically speeds up the process of extracting the resources. This is the 5th time that Stephen Promnitz has joined me for a talk. Stephen, today, let's start by talking about the remarkable building demand for lithium in the U.S., because, of course, the president there has really put a focus on this. Europe, of course, and Asia. Let's not forget that it is going to remain strong, too. So let's start off by talking just about the demand, this built-in building up demand for lithium.
Well, thank you, Stu, and it's a pleasure to be back on this platform. The growth that we have spoken about in previous interviews is really now happening. First of all, Europe overtook China last year for the number of EVs sold, and that was during the pandemic. We saw internal combustion engine sales go down, but EV sales go up, particularly in the EU and the UK. Now, they have incentives to support that, not just for electric vehicles, but also charging stations, battery plants. But the real news is the USA coming on. Since the Biden administration has joined, they are actively looking at supporting this sector. And the proof was very recently, we saw President Biden at Ford factory in Dearborn promoting the new F-150 Lightning. Now, it's all very well for a president to hop in an EV and for him to have hired the ex-governor of Michigan as the energy secretary. But the interesting thing is the F-150 has been the biggest selling light truck in the US for a couple of decades. Mm-hmm. 1 in every 10 vehicles sold there is an F-150. Now you've got an electric version coming out next year with similar hauling power, much faster off the mark, obviously quieter. Their base price is just under $40,000 US, but with the subsidies, you could be looking at $12,500 off that. So I think that's really going to change the conversation. This isn't going to be just a California story anymore. This is going to be rolling out across the US.
Well, and if we also,
of course,
yeah, sorry. I was going to jump in and say, let's not forget General Motors as well. They're moving in this direction rapidly, right along with Ford, and of course we've got Tesla.
Yeah, when we saw CEO Mary Barra from General Motors come out earlier this calendar year and actually set a firm target as when all of their vehicles will be EVs, which is middle of next decade, 2035, I was surprised. I mean, this is the home of gas-guzzling giants. Most people have said, I'm downsizing. That's meaning I'm going from an F-350 to an F-150. So it's a major sea change. And that just means that there's going to be more demand for the materials that go into the batteries that drive these electric vehicles. And again, President Biden has stated that he's going to be sourcing that from friendly nations, Australia, Canada, Brazil, and other countries, which include Argentina, given the size of the lithium projects. But as you started off, let's not forget East Asia. China in particular will continue to be about 75% of the market, certainly when it comes to making cathodes and batteries, and that isn't going to change. They continue to build 1 new mega factory every 8 days, whereas in Europe, that's about 1 every 2.5 months, and in the US, about 1 every 4 months. So they're still streets ahead.
It's remarkable, isn't it? And then, of course, you touched on the fact that the United States is looking for those secure sources of high-quality battery-grade lithium from countries that they see friendly. This division, the trade war with China right now, that tension really is focusing the fact on on the need for, as Biden has pointed out, these essential elements for us to be able to move forward in the new green economy, and lithium is right there in that mix, and a very, very important part of it.
Yeah, and it's interesting too that now we're not just seeing Tesla as an electric vehicle maker saying they want to get into upstream battery material supply. Volkswagen during May actually came out and said that they want to get involved. I mean, that was big news. First of all, earlier in 2021, they're the only other car maker apart from Tesla that actively put their hand up and said, we're going to start building batteries. And so they have supported 6 megafactories in the European Union over the next 10 years. The lithium that would supply just by itself was everything we produced on the planet last year. And now Volkswagen has said they want to get involved in upstream battery material supply. So, well, what a surprise. I mean, Tesla has said that. They're sort of copying that. We've also seen car makers actually get directly involved in lithium supply agreements. There's a project just up the road from our flagship project, Kachi, in Argentina, which is run by a New York Stock Exchange listed company, Livent. They signed a direct agreement for offtake with their lithium with BMW, and we haven't seen many of those sorts of arrangements. And the stated focus was not just on secure supply, but also on ESG benefits. And that's the key things that that Lake is bringing to the market, is consistent, high quality, that's expandable, and doing that with an ESG benefit, a low CO2 footprint, a lower land and water use. So that's where the market is going. We were just fortunate to actually pick that trend early, and that seems to continue.
So can you give us a little bit of an update on where you're at with the development of your technology and your ability to expand it so that you can, extract or harness more of the resource that you have, and in a shorter time to market? Where are you at on that? Because when we first talked, of course, it was still in its initial stages. You've been proving it out along the way, but what's the latest?
So, now Lake Resources is currently doing a definitive feasibility study, and we aim to have that out Q1 next year, 2022. And as part of that, we are having offtake discussions, and we're also operating our pilot plant, and we aim to have a demonstration plant of that lilac process on site. So they're that's the body of work that's occurring over the next 9 months. We've been fortunate that the pilot plant, which uses this lilac technology, has been operating successfully for more than a year in California, and COVID allowing, we aim to have a demonstration plant on site in the latter part of the year as planned. There have been a few delays just around vaccinations, but that's the plan at the moment. And you could reasonably expect there'll be more that we'll be able to say to the market about that going forward. What has been interesting, though, that I mentioned in our last chat, is that when we were talking during 2020, we were operating that pilot plant, we were getting samples out of it and showing that the quality was good. And we were targeting a 25,000 tonne per annum project. But since December, January, the focus has been, when can you get that project going, and how fast would it take to actually double that production? And so we're actually doing a study on that. We've been fortunate that the capital markets have opened up. There's more equity available for this space. We just announced that we're charging ahead with the debt financing for the first 25,000 tonnes per annum production. And the benefit is, because this is scalable, we can actually deliver that in a timely manner. As you said, we produce a product in the space of hours, not months or years, and we do that consistently of a high quality. And that's what battery makers want. This isn't something we've just designed. This is what the demand is asking for, and all we're doing is providing a solution, a 21st century solution for this demand.
You know, Stephen, there's so much to talk about with you, and of course we only have a certain amount of time. But there's one thing you and I talked off camera about, a new arrangement that you worked out with Toronto-based Red Cloud. And I'm sure that there are investors who are going to say, okay, tell me more about that, and how does that help me?
Well, during June, Lake Resources is going to be presenting in a battery minerals day that Red Cloud is running. Now, they're a relatively new broking firm on the Canadian market, but in less than a year, they went from sort of nowhere to being number 5 on the league tables. And they've gone and not just handpicked people out of different firms, but also provide a full service where they look at social media, they look at how you market, they make certain that things are actually working together. Look, it's early days at the moment, but we're going to be running a virtual conference together with them in the middle of June, and I must say we're pretty excited to be working with them because it's a natural flow on from a conference we were involved in just at the start of June called EV Fest. It happens once a year. Benchmark Minerals, one of the lead providers of data on the battery materials space, came out with that. And they were reminding people how, I think it was 18 months ago, we had 70 mega factories planned for the end of this decade. Now there's 211, of which 151 of those are going to be operating. We need 10 times more lithium just to feed that demand, and that'll probably grow further. So this presentation by Red Cloud, I think, is pretty timely.
Yeah. Well, we'll be looking forward to that. Can viewers find information about that like online?
I presume so. Look, because I'm based in Sydney, not in Toronto, and this is our first engagement with them. I'm not absolutely certain, but please make contact with them directly if that's of interest.
Because it'll give people.
So looking forward, it'll give people a good idea.
Yeah.
See, we're looking at doing an uplisting at some stage before this project finance gets completed. We're looking at doing an uplisting in the US. It isn't finalized yet, but it's important that we have entities like Roth Capital in the US and like Red Cloud working with us and developing this story. Because the thing is, we say that this is a new technology, but it's not new. And those guys at Red Cloud actually get that. This is really bog standard technology. What's new is just having it adapted for the lithium space. And look, it's going to be an exciting time. It's not the only project we have. We have others next to ones that have been expanded recently. One by Lithium Americas, they're TSX listed, together with Gangfeng. And I think we're going to hear a lot more about this whole space. It's even finally down here in the hermit nation of Australia, it's even starting to finally resonate. So look out.
It's always exciting talking to you because you have so much news, and we unfortunately only have a limited amount of time. So, I'm hoping that we're going to have our 6th and 7th and 8th conversations as the Lake Resources story continues to unfold.
Well, it's only if we've got timely, relevant, informative information to provide people. We appreciate the opportunity. Look, over the next 9 to 12 months, you can expect a lot from this company, and I think you're going to see a lot in this sector as well. We're just, as I said, coming up with a 21st century solution for this 21st century demand that involves what the market wants and also delivers that ESG benefit. And it's just fun to actually be involved in this sort of space.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Stephen.